strong in faith.
Faith can move mountains. Radio Maria, 91.3 FM.
The voice of truth.
Hello, good evening. It's once again Child Protection on 91.3 FM Radio Maria. Your host presenter is Madam Momoh MaryAngela. And you know, for those who've been there, what child protection is all about. But for the sake of those who are tuning in for the first time, good for us to know what child protection stands for. Talking about child protection, we're looking at the children, the ones that are to be cherished, loved, nurtured, educated, prepared for the now and for the future. We know what it takes, even if some of us may not have experienced it. But most of the time, like I would say, everybody belongs to a family. The rich, the poor, the weak, the strong, we all belong to the family. And in the family, we're looking at the father, mother, children, relations, and even family friends, neighbors. So the children today have a lot before them, and we must protect them. Their environment must be kept secure. We must ensure that they are motivated to yield the best. We have to be sure that we remind ourselves and be conscious of the fact that as children, that human rights are also children's rights. We teach them how to stand up for their rights. They can't stand up for their rights if they don't know their rights. So we must let them know their rights. And we also support them talking about keeping their rights. We also want to talk about those who have already been exposed to some form of abuse. We do not stigmatize them. We do not discriminate against them. We do not talk them away. In some cases, no, I don't want the embarrassment. I don't want. There's nothing embarrassing about what is happening around you. Whatever the situation is, with plenty of love, with some reformation and some counseling, the child will bounce back fully and even become, like I always say, could even become an advocate talking against that same issue. So child protection is here to talk about all of these and more to help the child be the best and the leader of tomorrow. So if we're looking at that, therefore, what is the topic for today? Today, we're looking at the fact that children have gone back to school. Yes, some have resumed going from home, while some have been sent from home to the school to be right there in school. So, parenting and boarding house experience for teenagers is our topic for today. Parenting and boarding house experience. We're going to be looking at it because during the holiday, we tried our best to see that the children were safeguarded. We came up with activities that will keep them safe, engage them positively, and make them productive. Now, going back to school, they have spent 1-2 weeks depending on when the school resumed. And very soon, you'll be going to do the visiting. You could imagine how the child is longing to see mom or dad or the guardian and tell the stories. Going there, what should we be expecting and what should we do? We're going to look at that in the next moment. Please don't go away. Welcome back to Child Protection on Radio Maria 91.3 FM, the voice of truth. So what's the truth about today's topic? We know that as parents, giving birth to a child does not necessarily mean that you have the parenting arts and that you have the skills. That parenting is a deliberate thing. You must not just learn, but you keep improving and you keep asking for counseling yourself. Now, looking at the choice or decision to send your child to a boarding school, what does it take? You will consider first, what is a boarding school? There are schools who run boarding and day. That is to say, some children will come to school and close by 2, 3, 4 and go back home, while some are meant to stay back, bed and board. They sleep, they do everything within the school compound, and they come to school from the hostel. Some schools are full boarding. That is to say, you do not go home until it's either holiday or school, whatever break or feast the school is involved in. That is to say that they are there from the beginning of the term till midterm break, and then back again till the end of that term for the whole session. Now, for you to decide to send your child to the boarding house or to a boarding school, that is to say the child is not going to be home until there's a break, you must have some things you want to see. There must be certain qualities you will look out for to decide to say my child will go to this school and not that school. And one of that very important thing you will have to do is to look at the environment. We are what we eat. We are also products of our environment. Now, some of you made up your minds based on some of these factors. Some people probably just heard my friend's child is in this school, the child is doing well, so I go there. Or this school is very expensive. Sure, people who go there have a class, the clout, they send their children there. But I tell you, there are many parents that sat down to, first of all, decide on the child going to the boarding house, looking at the following factors. Why should my child go to this school? What's the environment like? What are their school rules like? The children that come out from that school, what kind of ambassadors are they? What do they carry? What are the implications, the cost implication of sending my child to that school and still being able to run other costs? Right? You're telling yourself, if the child gets there, maybe that's your first child, no sibling is there. How is he going to cope with loneliness? How is he going to cope with adjusting, meeting new friends, and all of that? And then you also have the case of this decision I'm making now. Am I going to make sure that it's sustained through the session, or by the second week, like some people are going for the visiting day now, you're going to begin to pull the child out of the place? No, I can't take this. It's horrible. It's that. Because you did not sit back to plan first. Because when you don't plan, you have planned to fail. So now the child is waiting the first visiting day. You probably didn't think about all these before. You probably just looked at, I don't want to talk about the Joneses here, but from the testimony, from the results of your neighbor's child, you just made up your mind that this school must be good for my child. Fine. Now you're going to assess. Now you're going to look at it all. You're going to have the conference with the teacher. You're going to have a conference with the child. You may need to see the counselor. You may need to see one or two teachers from what the child will tell you. So when you get there, you have to, first of all, pay attention to what the school has to say. The school will address you or will give you some letters or some form of newsletter to give you a rundown or a summary of the activities so far and what they're expecting from you as a parent, from the child, and you'll be able to assess yourself what you have done sufficiently well, what you need to improve on, what you need to tell the child, how you need to also further prepare the child, and all that. Because at the very, very first entrance, They are made to make sure that everything about academics is settled. This child really qualifies to be in this school. But when they now resume, at resumption, they are given the orientation. There's an orientation program for the children, then the teachers and the children, the parents. They know exactly what to do. One of the things you consider as a parent when you're sending your child to a boarding school is the closeness. Some people will say, no, this child is too attached. She needs to go to a school very far away. Another person says, no, I want my child close by. Another person says, I'm indifferent. As long as I have the quality, I can assess wherever the child is. So all of these are considered. You also look at how will this child benefit from the activities of this school. So you need to know the activities. You need to know what they do academically. You need to know the extracurricular activities. You need to know the social engagements in the school. You look at the facilities. You take a tour of the school. In short, that, of course, is very important from the very onset. But for those people who skipped it or who didn't do that, you're going to now make sure that during this first visiting day, you will go around to see the school, the library, the workshops, the classrooms, the recreation ground. What kind of sports are they exposing the children to? Meet with the teachers, meet with other parents, interact, and make sure that you're getting the right feel that is expected of the quality of school you want. The fees, the financial implication. Is it something you need to do a plan A and a plan B for? You want to do a plan A, you pay the full fees for one term or one session or one semester, depending on how the school runs. Or you pay for the first semester, maybe you pay the full fees and then come up with the PTA, or you're paying the PTA compulsorily, the health insurance and all of that. You look at it and you make sure that it's something that can be sustained, whatever plan you're coming up with. Because some people already have 2, 3, 4 children already in some schools, while some are just coming in for the first time. So your abilities, financial strength and all that differ. Do not be shy, do not be ashamed, do not pretend to be able to cope and then you begin to pull the child in and out of school. That is child abuse. Because when you go the way others go and you know you don't have the capability, begin to embarrass this child. Before you know it, the child is being called out for failure of payment of fees. Like I mentioned here, not too long ago, that punishing a child in school for not paying school fees is child abuse. The child does not pay her fees herself. So I am saying today, parents, take a look at what the financial implications of the child in that school is. Look at the financial implication and make up your mind what to do, so this child does not face any embarrassment. I'm also saying to the school, the head teachers and the proprietors of the school, to make a proper arrangement with the parents and get the proper contact to reach out to the parents should they default. And please keep the children out of it, because they do not work, they don't earn, they are not the ones owing you, if for any reason you're being owed. Now, we have some schools that say if you have 2 children already, the third child gets a 50% concession. Some say if you have 3 children, the 4th child comes in on scholarship. Find out from the school what is before you, the benefits you have, the things you're going to enjoy as concessions from the school before you start. But peradventure you didn't do that, as you go in during the first visiting day, ensure that you meet with the vice principal, administration, academics, or the principal of the school, or the president, depending on the echelon or the organogram of the school. Who are you going to be talking with? Who is going to tell you what the school offers and what you can afford? so you can make up your mind and start working out for the next session. It is very important that we do this to ensure that our children are not embarrassed. Then you're going to a boarding school. You have some decisions you have made to say, for this reason or for these reasons, my child will not go to school from home. I'm not going to be around. I'm going to be distracted. My child will be too distracted. The child is going to be in school. Therefore, for these reasons, this child has to be there. You are going to look at the staffing of that school. You're going to look at the disciplinary actions before you as a parent. Should your child misbehave? Should your child do well? What is there for the child? You're going to look at the facilities. Yes, there are seats there. There might be a blackboard. Some will have the whiteboard. Others will maybe using projectors. It depends on what you can afford. But it's not all about money. It's more all about planning, using the right facilities and knowing that these are the possibilities before you. So you can also help the school. You can suggest to the school, this way you can improve, this way you probably didn't do this right. A parent called in some time ago to say, what I'm seeing in my child's school is burning my heart. My heart is aching. I went to drop the child, and by the time I got into the class, I started choking as a parent. And all the other children there, some were sneezing, coughing, and all of that. And the teacher was being adamant, moving the children away from that particular environment. So the person called me and I said, could I have the number of the president or the chairman or the owner of that school? Because that decision of space is not going to be solely the teacher's decision. Some management decision, will come in there. So these are things you will look at, assess them, and see. Your child would have told you one or two things, or when you go, the child is going to tell you one or two things. You may have your suggestion. Don't start, breaking out in, tantrums, and you scream all over the place. I paid so much money. Why should my child go through this and all that? Take it in with a lot of resilience and maturity, and then go and talk with the school authority. It is from their response, it is from the readiness to change or do the right thing that will make you either decide to keep your child there or take your child away. It depends on how serious it is. Of course, if it's life-threatening, sure, you don't even give it 1 second. Like that case I talked about had to be handled because I had to call through to the head teacher, who, of course, I told her, I'm calling you now on phone, but if you wish that we come there with a camera, it's a choice you could make. That was not a threat. I meant every word of it. We will appear there on camera. You don't put children in a class you painted a day before resumption. Where were you, before they resumed? Immediately after vacation, you should paint. You should take care of the school environment. And then why use that kind of quality that would be choking children in class? So please, these are the things, because very soon a lot of checks and balances will come into the system. The fatalities that are coming out from education issues, definitely this session, by the grace of God, has to stop. All hands on deck. Everybody, play your part. You that are collecting fees, give the quality services, and you that are paying fees, look into what you want to make as a choice and ensure that your child is safe. It's part of the environment, and it's part of what we're saying, checking and protecting your child, making the right choices. So if you look at the facilities and you have some suggestions to make, that would be great. The teachers that are there, is one teacher teaching 3, 4, 5 subjects? Oh, he is in the sciences. Okay. After all, to do physics, he must be good in mathematics. So the teacher will be made to teach mathematics, physics, agric science. Oh my goodness. And this teacher has no choice because he's stranded. He has no other job, no option. And then you use them out like, I don't want to use the word slaves, but some of the things you do to them is very close to enslavishment. Is that the kind of school we're talking about here? Because a boarding school is supposed to be, that quality school. Before you decide to put children together and say they are now under my care for this whole term and the whole session, you must be ready. So you must be ready to keep the right set of staff and also be fair to them. During the holiday, we were hard on them, telling them the things they need to do, things they need to give to the children. We also talked about the fact that at resumption, you should give them the safeguarding rule of your school. But at the same time, now they have resumed. Don't break them. Because by the time you're loading them with too many subjects to one teacher, he's always on edge. He begins to react. Every little thing the poor child that has come to school to learn would say irritates the teacher, and the child the child is now bearing the brunt of what he didn't cause. And that's why I first of all took the presentation on displaced aggression before talking now about parenting children in the boarding school. It is very important that when you put a lot of pressure on the teacher comes in from this subject, the next bell is taking him to primary 1, the other bell is taking him to primary 4, the next bell is taking him to SS, because some of you run primary and secondary schools, and then they crisscross like that. Out of the 8 periods or the 10 periods of the day, he has 9 periods. And you say, but he has break now, he can sit down during break and rest. What about his brain? What about his whole being? Standing, talking. Of course, children will be children. They will probably say one or two things, managing his emotions and all of that. And at the end of the day, what is his take home? Yes, I must recommend you here because you're creating jobs. You're helping us get jobs for our youth. You're creating jobs for them. But whatever is worth doing at all is worth doing well. Some of you will bring in corpers. Have you really checked? Or you just simply want to be giving them the 20,000 naira stipend, and that saves you the salary of about 50 to 100,000 or 200,000. So let me bring in as many corpers as core members as possible, and then I will not check. You need to give them the orientation, and you have to mind the classes that they take. And then you watch their relationship with the students. Some of them will just talk with them as friends and as their mates. Some of them will really come there, do the right thing. Some don't really know what he has come there to do because that's where he was posted to. I know of a state that they say all core members teach. So whether you have the flair for teaching, whether you're trained as a teacher or not, you go to the classroom and teach. You can imagine the quality. Here we're talking about the quality of staff. What about your non-staff and non-academic staff? Are they trained? If they are not, do you bother to train them yourself? In-service training, sending them out for training, ensuring that they have Zoom, webinars, you teach them seminars, workshops, the ones that are already there, upgrade, look at what they need to know that's new, and all of that. After all, our Nigerian teachers taught that girl that came with the best ever imagined result, placing Nigeria as number 1 in mathematics in the world. They were taught by Nigerian teachers. So we have them here. Great stuff, intelligent people. We'll continue from here in the next moment. Please don't go away. And when we get back, please, we're going to be talking about our numbers for you to call in because it is your program, our program. Thank you. Welcome back to Child Protection on 91.3 FM Radio Maria. I'm sure you're all there ready to begin to call in on 081 084 47518. You're calling us, you're going to send SMS, sending us WhatsApp messages, as the case may be. And I pray that network will be our friend today. We're looking at calling on 081 084 47518. Now, back to our discussion. We're saying that you decide to say, I want to look at the staff of the school. I want to also ensure that the classroom is convenient. You know, one of the good things about the boarding school is the schools are usually, the classrooms. Hello? There's a call there? Hello? Okay. We say in the boarding schools, there are certain things we expect to see: qualified staff, good, smaller classrooms and smaller number of of children, modern and standardized facilities and all of that, libraries, sporting, workshops, name them, farms. And then they are more competitive and challenging because they want to be, boosted. They want to say, my school came great in this competition, the children made this number of percent in WAEC. I'm not talking about miracle centers, please. We're talking about schools that are schools, not miracle centers. So you begin to look at the possibility of your child getting in there to excel. Nigeria's got talent, and it is from these schools, the primary school, the KG, the creche, primary, secondary schools. We build them up and we pick them out. They are there. Are you teaching your children how your staff, how to take note of these children? Some of them may not even be talking much in class. They are not ready. You have introverts and you have extroverts. Call them up and encourage them. Hello. Good evening.
Okay, my name is Rose.
Hello?
Hello, can you hear me? My name is Rose.
Roslyn.
Yes.
Okay. Sorry, where are you calling from, please?
From Abuja.
Oh. It's okay. Welcome, Abuja.
Okay. What I'm saying, kudos to all people that doing good work. But I think that needs to be more, because some of them go into this business.
It's
Because
breaking.
they don't have any other job.
Okay.
That's why most people go into this business. Because the teachers that taught us in primary school, the temple dropped to secondary school, and now the temple has also dropped. Then for parents, I want to encourage parents. How many parents go through their children work when they come back? Or are the parents just saying, after I have paid the school, I've paid teachers to teach my child or my children in question? Because that's what most parents do. For me, when I get back home, no matter how tired I am, if I don't check the first day, I must check the second day. So
Right.
you check your child work, because if both of you are learning together.
Good.
And because sometimes I've even discovered some mistakes, because some teachers, because of the workload, they are very busy.
Mm-hmm.
So about quarreling teacher, it's both ways though. It's totally both ways. I give kudos to all, they are doing well.
Yeah.
The parents,
Some of them are doing well, not all of them.
for our own children, some of us don't have that. So I give them a big high five, all of them.
Okay.
And I just bless them.
Thank
very
you.
much.
Thank you so much, Rosalind, for calling in. I don't have to repeat because we've been talking about it here, that we need to be there with our children. I told a story here how when my children when it's time for examination, continuous assessment test, we no longer sleep in the bedroom. We move to the sitting room. We throw the mattresses there. We are doing it there together. I am there with them. So it is your duty. You call them to become Nigerian children. So you must be in. Their child, the children are responsibility gifts. So the child has come based on your agreement with your husband. Thank you very much, Rosalind. So now we're talking about the fact that as a boarding school, we say they will have qualified staff, we will have the great frames in terms of the classrooms are not overcrowded. We're looking at modern and standardized facilities in the schools, good classroom, good library, sporting facilities, and all that. And then we tell ourselves that number of subjects they offer are broad, yes, but should we not check with the WAEC and counseling rules what it takes? Because some schools may not offer certain subjects that are that are going to be very relevant to the choice of subject for the child much later in the future. I have seen schools where certain relevant subjects other than mathematics and English, we're not being taught. So we must look out all for this. And like our caller just told us, that the children coming and get back home, we don't even check. We don't check what they have come back home with, because they say the school is high quality, high standard school. Find out what personal problem your child is having, because some children may have the flair for this and may not have the flair for that, and may even want to just imitate their friend. My friend does not like mathematics, so me too, I don't like mathematics. A caller said maths is very difficult. The other person says no. Musa says it is the other one, and Ngozi says, and because of that, they just flow with the crowd and move with the tides. You have to find out. It's only when you check that you will know all of this, and you help them to think right and make the right choice. So, and then in the boarding schools, you say mentoring is very, very important, and they do not play with that. They apportion, or these children are given to teachers in groups. A particular teacher may mentor 3 or 4 or 5 students depending on how many children they have in a particular class, and in another class she's mentoring, so a group of students are given to her to mentor, and that is helping a great deal. But there are some schools also that may not have keyed into that. But even in the course of mentoring, also you're going to watch the possibility of abuse, because who are the abusers? They are people that they trust, that take advantage of them. So you find out and be sure during this visiting session that you're able to talk to your child. You're not going to begin to ask the child, is anybody touching your, is anybody touching? No. Let the child tell you exactly what she has experienced. Be friendly, be nice, and be free. Talk, and then you watch body languages from the way the child reacts to this or that question. You may not want to dig or pry into some aspects of the relationship. And then you said we're considering also sending our children to boarding schools, because most boarding schools are unique and standard, and it takes some time for them. They put some time out to ensure that their classrooms are modern and nice, well furnished, and they have the right facilities. Some of them also talk about boarding life. Why I'm saying some, I know I'm saying some, because some believe that because they want parents to bring the children to school, they put in janitors to make their beds clean, sweep, and everything. When we went to the boarding school, many people learned how to lay their beds for the first time properly there, how to tuck in the edges well, and it will look as if your bed, as if the bed was ironed. So some people want to expose their children to boarding life because of some of these traits that they will pick from there. But if you have sent your child to a school where everything is done, then it means that when the child gets home, it is your duty to teach the child those things that she wasn't exposed to. She's going to talk to you about the school, how her beddings are handled, how the school, her corner is cleaned, and who does what. Fine. You're not going to change the school system or walk up to the proprietor and say, look, you have to make my child to start sweeping and cleaning. Maybe that's the reason some people even send their children there, because somebody does the cleaning and all that. To them, that will give the child more time to study. Well, that's a topic for another day. But we are also talking about the fact that is a skill the child has to learn. Is one of the chores the child must pick up, either from the school or right there at home. So you begin to ask yourself, okay, if this is not being done in school, then okay, so when this child resumes, when he resumes or when she resumes, we need to start teaching this particular chore or this particular housework, because the child one day will go and serve. NYSC is waiting. And we know what happens during that service year. A lot of them suffer. They go through a lot because something somewhere was not balanced, was not taken care of at the right time. Or after school, after secondary school, you may send your child abroad, and the child comes to a place, this is his hostel, everything is for him to handle. And then before somebody would say hello, tapping at the door, he jolts backward because of what is oozing out of that room, and so on. So we need to strike a balance. We know the one the school is doing, because it's not, the school will not do everything for you. Boarding school, they have come in there to study, to learn. At the same time, they are going to be formed. They are going to be taught, some domestic things, because of course they are not going to be suspended in the air. So they will sleep on the beds. They will go to the cafeteria to eat, the table etiquette, the table manners, and all of that. Dishing and remembering that the other person is there to dish. Somebody shared with me and told me how he had to react one day. He kind of led a mini revolt in his school because the senior will dish almost 1/3 of the portion to himself, and then leave the remaining 2/3 for the remaining 10 children on the table, because he's the head of the table. And then the out of the 10, the next senior will also dish maybe 1/4, and that's how, before it gets to the JS1 child, there's almost nothing in the plate for the child to eat. But there are some schools that take time to make sure that the dishing is done. Just go sit down and pick your food and eat. And the juniors are together, the seniors are away from the juniors. I give it to those schools. Yes, I know there are schools that do that. Or you go and pick your food and get to your table to eat. You don't leave it for the children to start. Those days, are gone, where people probably had charity. But many people still suffered then. In my time, my table was lucky because, of course, we had some reasonable people there. And when I also became head of the table, of course, the children enjoyed some charity. But I also would not tell you here that I didn't know that some seniors were being oppressive. And when you talk to them, it's beggy, that's not my style. Unfortunately, the children also could barely speak up. But at the point, some of us spoke up, because what I'm doing now, I didn't start it today. But how many people have the guts to do that? This man led that revolt and said, today, before the senior got to the table, they shared out the whole food. And when he came, he was angry. Who did this? Where's my food? And they said, your seat is in front of you, senior. That's where you sit. This cannot be my food, and all of that. But it is the same school fees you all paid. Your father did not pay more school fees than the other child. So why will you want to now eat up 4 people's portion and think that it's because you are in SS2 and SS3? Such things should be controlled. We should ensure that the children get their fair share of everything in the school. As much as we say they should be respected and respectful, we also must teach them charity. If you are probably in a school where the food is put into a bowl for you to serve, you do not forget that there are other people on that table that need to share from that food. If they were your siblings, would you not even have forfeited your food for them? So why would you now say because this one is just 10 years old? Now we have a lot of them, a lot of 9-year-old children. Some are 8. Their parents will even push them. That again is another topic. We shall talk about it, because they are there in the boarding house too. Those ones some people will go and swear false affidavit and push their children into school at age 8. What is the child looking for? What is an 8-year-old looking for in JS1? Yes, we have whiz kids. We have children that are specially talented. We have them. It's possible they could stand out. And even from age 12, we've seen them doing complicated things, and they are. But you are looking at matching their biological age, chronological age, and preparedness. Are they prepared to handle the social things, ideas, experiences that will come before them. Great to be intelligent. You have all of that. Emotional intelligence, financial intelligence, and all those other intelligence. Do you know how serious and how important they are? Without them, the intelligence, the academic intelligence is something else. Can be. Hello.
Hello, good evening, ma'am.
Good evening. Hello. Good evening.
It's still wrong.
Okay. Go ahead, Rosalie.
Talking about one. I don't buy that because, like, my daughter.
Hello.
Where you,
Talking about.
I don't know if you can hear me. Ma'am.
Okay, I can hear you now.
Okay, she goes to a school where you study according to your pace. So before you can be in the same class, so you're not doing the same work. I have to tell the teacher once that please don't look as if this child is very smart. She may be smart academically, but emotionally she's not ready
Good.
for that. So let's go. If she's too fast, let's look for a way to bring her back in. So that you'll be doing the things that is age related. Because I have to tell her that no matter how fast you go, if you're not 10, you can't go to a secondary school. Bullying me. Sometimes you need to stand up for yourself. But because you're not age appropriate, you're not old enough, you feel everybody wants to gang up against you. So that then for the children that I have a friend that she goes to the boarding school, as it's not even visiting day, she's going to visit because she wants to know. In fact, she gets to detect for other people, other children, and she gets to speak out for them. Not because of their her children, but because she feels the same thing can happen to her own child. So if she doesn't speak out, if this person is bullying everybody,
Sorry, we're not getting that clearly anymore. So, but the point has been made that, the need for preparedness can never be taken for granted. The child has to be prepared. Going there to write and scoring 100 over 100 is not all that it takes to be in a school where you're having children from all manners of backgrounds. And even the physical demand. They finish from class by 1 o'clock, they go in for their lunch, then they run out for sports, they get back for prep, they go do the chores, whatever assignment they are given, they go and do some research and all. By the time it's about 8 p.m., he's yawning. The ones that are 9, that are 10, 11 are still there, strong. Hello?
hello,
Yeah. Hello, madam.
good evening.
Good evening, madam.
Yes, this is George.
Mrs.
George from Dubai.
Okay, welcome, Mrs. George. How's Lube?
Yes. I want to make a contribution to your discussion.
Please, it will be very appreciated.
All these schools we are talking about,
Yes.
schools like egalitarian children of the rich. We are not talking about children for the poor. Children for the poor, the boarding houses are just like slums. And these are where the population of Nigerian society lie. The schools all these private schools are costly and they do whatever they like. But we are talking about state schools, most of the state schools. Some of their buildings are dilapidated, the classrooms, there's no class control, there's population outburst, there is everything that is wrong. And I would not, in any way, put my child in such a school. That means that if I belong to a poor class, there's no education for my child. Because most of these children, the girls are raped, they are bullied, they are killed, cocaine, all kinds of terrible things happen there. So we are talking about a class of people for the rich, and that is just like 5% of the society. We need to deal with the class of the poor, which the population lies there. Such schools are no schools at all, and they should even be disbanded. According to this question on educationist, even the federal schools that I taught him sometimes, some of them are not applicable again.
Okay.
We need to address the real issues. These are for the elite class, and they are not for the common people. Thank you.
Thank you very much, madam. We're looking at parents today who have made choices either by, taking a proper decision and assessment of the school they have chosen, or just on hearsay send their children to school. We're telling them what they should do by the next visiting. First of all, the choice of wanting to send your child to the boarding school is solely yours. Government does not come to pull your child into a boarding school. They say this is a boarding school, no day. The other one is day and boarding, and you make a choice. And then you also make a choice between which school to go to, whether to go to a state school because you don't have the funds and because that's close to your house, or to go to these other schools. What you have said is completely correct as per the dilapidated nature of our schools, the very terrible standard of the average Nigerian public school. It's a topic for another day. That is not for today, because we know that, like you rightly pointed out, I am aware of schools that have 200, 300 students in one class, and then they will push in about 3 teachers or 4 teachers and tell you one is in charge of writing on the board, the other one is in charge of ensuring that the children are writing, another one is in charge of... What about the hygiene that goes with it and all that? That's why I said we are not looking at that today. We'll come for that some other time, and very soon, because these are Nigerian children and it is their right to be educated. Bullying, she talked about bullying. She talked about some even being raped and killed in a school. And of course, are we going to pretend that we are hearing it for the first time, that we've never heard that such things happen? Don't they have rights to a good school? But the truth is that we are drawing very close to the end of the program, of our presentation today, and whether we like it or not, a decision has to be made as to whether your child should go to a boarding school or not. And if you have made that decision and you have sent your child to the boarding school without the right decision, without the right assessment of the school, don't miss it during this visiting day that's coming forth. Otherwise, you're going to begin to react and erupt for nothing. It's a choice you did not make well. Ensure that you look at your child and psychoanalyze. There are some that she might not talk about because they may have given orientation. After the main school orientation is another click orientation that they tell them, in this boarding house, nothing goes out to the school authority. If you dare it, you're going to live a very miserable life here. Are you hearing me? The children will be shivering and peeing on their pants. So let's sit down. As we are talking to our children, we are looking at them. We are seeing beyond what they are saying. We are listening once and hearing twice when we visit them during our visiting day for the first session, resumption of 2022-2023. There is every need to look at our teenagers. For those of you who did not prepare the children, especially the girls, on what to do with their periods, don't let them go to class and everywhere is red flag. That thing brings the child down for the whole session. Some children don't even get out of it. So please spare them that. I've seen parents who would leave that to the man. It is the man that will even tell the woman, have you taught this girl what to do and how to do it? Because some things are appropriate, some are not. There's nothing wrong with the dad talking about it, but there's everything wrong with the dad now going to demonstrate to the child how to put the towel, how to fix it, and how to wear it, and all of that. There's something wrong with it. So please, daddies, do your work. Mom, do your work. Everybody, do play your part. They are gifts with responsibility attached to them. And to you great parents out there, I want to say, keep on doing that great thing you're doing. For those of you who have become offshore parents, please come back from wherever you have traveled to and come and do your work. Don't send Obi or Kaite or Musa to go on visiting day with one full boot of snacks. That is not what we're talking about. We're talking about quality presence on the visiting day. Have time for this child or for these children because they did not ask to be born. You brought them. Please be that great parent and don't mess up the other child whose parent has taken the pains to put in the right values and morals. ensure that you are there on the visiting day. God bless you, and may these children also excel. Thank you very much. Bye bye.